Hello, and thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm happy that you're here today. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 100% P&T, that's permanent and total, disability compensation with the VA. If that's something that you're interested in and you're looking forward to hearing some more information, please hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll continue to push out content. I've done prior videos on this in the past that really kind of dived into it, but it's just such an important message that I want to get out there. This video is going to be about 8 minutes or so, and I'm going to tell you right now, listen to it all the way through. A lot of folks will jump off and you're going to miss important pieces along the way. This is absolutely life-changing information for some of us. Now, if you already have 100% and you're just, getting information for the heck of it, then that's a different story. But if you are not at 100% rating, permanent and total, let me walk you through it. So, filing a claim with the VA, regardless now, if you're already at, say, a 50% or a 70 or a 30 or whatever, or you're filing your first claim, the basics are you must have a successful claim in order to even get to where you want to go. So a successful claim, and I've said this in other videos, so I'll kind of condense it a little bit. A successful claim consists of active duty time, a diagnosis, and a nexus. Okay, unless you're working with a presumptive condition. Presumptive conditions eliminate the need for a nexus. So let's assume that it's not a presumptive condition. So you have active duty time, you prove that with your DD-214 or 14s, that gives you a block of time. Start date, end date, and everything in between is fair game. Now there's one caveat to that. There is a 1 year after discharge extension, of which, let's say you got diagnosed for whatever your condition is after the fact. If it's not an injury, if it's more of like a disease within the 1 year of getting out, then that will couple in and become a presumptive, so back into your time of service. So your active duty time gives us a window of opportunity. A diagnosis, you must go to a doctor and actually get diagnosed. For those of you that have never filed a claim with the VA, you may think that the VA is going to provide that diagnosis for you since they have medical facilities. They are not. So do not file a claim without a diagnosis as evidence. You must go to a doctor. It doesn't matter, civilian doctor, whatever, or hopefully, ideally, you got diagnosed while you were in service, okay? The third thing is that nexus. The nexus is what we call a link between the condition and your time in service, okay? What it is not proof that the military caused this condition. Okay. In some cases, yes, that's what happened. But really what the VA is looking for is, did that condition first appear, first manifest, first start during your time in service? The example I like to give here is you could come from a family history of migraine sufferers. Everybody in your family suffers from migraines. They all started getting migraines at 22. You joined the military, and guess what? When you turned 22, you started getting migraines as well. So the VA doesn't care that you came from this history of migraine sufferers. They don't. So all they're looking for is, did it first start? You joined without them, now you have them. Now, those are the three components, right? Prove that it started, that's the nexus. Ideally, the nexus is achieved by getting a diagnosis while you were in service. That's the best way. The second best way is that you've at least notated it somewhere, maybe in an annual health assessment or an exit health assessment, exiting the military. You check some boxes on a form that said, have you now or have you ever experienced any of these? You check those boxes that said, yes, I have headaches or migraines. I've had painful swollen joints. I've had this, that, whatever. Hopefully, all of that those check marks are in your file. Now, I'll do another video later on if you do not have your service medical records, your service treatment records, on how you can go ahead and obtain those. So if you do, great, thumb through them. Okay, now you know how to file a successful claim. Well, how do you get to 100%? That's the next question, right? What happens is a lot of us get, wrapped around the axle with the idea that, okay, I'm only going to file for the things that really bother me, that I think the military caused to me, that I would not have had if not for the military, like my bad back or my hearing starting to go, or I jacked up my knee or whatever. That's great. File for those, but there's also a lot of gold in those other conditions. Okay, so you need to do a self-assessment inside and out and go, okay, you know, I remember I had heartburn, could be GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. I had migraines, I had sinusitis, I had this, I had that while I was in service. And you know what? I probably would have had those anyway. But the rule is if it manifested during your time in service. Now, I'll tell you, there's some people out there that think, you know, well, I shouldn't file for that because that was probably going to happen to me anyway. That's not how this works. And we've all done the funny math of, you know, you made nothing per hour while you were in. And we can all agree that regardless of your rank, you were severely underpaid compared to your civilian counterpart. So part of the reason why you're so severely underpaid compared to your civilian counterpart is this tremendous benefits package on the backside. Unfortunately, a lot of us turn and walk away from it. So what I want to open your eyes to is there's a whole host of different conditions. It's pretty much everything that you could be diagnosed for, as long as it's chronic in nature and has or has residual effects. So chronic in nature, I have chronic migraines. Residual effects, I broke my arm back towards my elbow and now I can't extend my arm all the way. It's got a limit in my range of motion. There's a residual effect. So those are things that you would be filing claims for. Arthritis, that type of stuff. Now, here's the beauty of it. You start adding all those different conditions up, and then, in addition, I'm going to use a back example here real quick. So let's say that you have somebody, a hypothetical situation. You have a veteran who has migraines, they have gastroesophageal reflux disease, they have a bad back, and those are their three primary claims. Okay, so 3 claims, that's it. They could potentially get up to 50% for migraines, up to 60% for gastroesophageal reflux disease. Let's say, you know, usually the back range of motion stuff, even if you only move this far in your C&P exam, you're still only going to get a 10 or a 20% at the most, typically. So let's pretend that you get a 10% for your back, but your back really does bother you and it does hurt, and it's hard to stay in one place, it's hard to stay asleep. Fine. Now you have those 3 conditions, 50, 60, 10. However, secondary conditions will come into play. The VA doesn't just look at service-connected conditions, meaning that it manifested during your time in service. You can also cascade off of those with secondary conditions. So a secondary condition to my back issue, in this example, a 10% rating back issue, could result in nerve issues with radiculopathy that shoots down your left and right leg, right? So now you get an extra 10 on each of those, and then that combined rating gets an additional 10 because it's bilateral. Then what happens is you may have some you know, issues with the vertebrae and you know, your whole hips and all that stuff. Maybe you have some arthritis in there. So now you get checked for arthritis. Bam, you have some arthritis. That could potentially be rated at 40%. Then you don't have a problem falling asleep, but you have a problem staying asleep. You wake up at, whatever, 2 in the morning, and you can't really fall back asleep because you're very uncomfortable. You're putting the pillow under your legs, you're twisting, turning sideways, this, that, and finally you get up, you walk around, you drink some water, you try to fall back asleep, you can't, you look at the clock, it's 4:30, you're waking up at 5:30 to go to work anyway, so you just stay up. So you have insomnia due to your back condition. This is an extra, in some cases, let's say 30%. So now, all of a sudden, your primary conditions may have been the GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, the migraines, the 10% back rating, but then the back rating parlayed into a 40% for arthritis, a 30% for insomnia, and a couple 10s for your radiculopathy, which is that tingling and numbness sensation that kind of shoots down your legs. So there is a path, is the bottom line, and I'm going to leave you with this. Some people have a hard time wrapping their mind around 100% if I'm not severely injured or I don't have severe PTSD. They think that 100% is reserved only for those types of individuals. I am here to tell you that is not the case. There is other benefits out there for those that are in tremendous disrepair. For the person who's rolling in the convoy and got hit by an IED and isn't doing too well, there is another rating schedule beyond the 100% schedule called SMC, Special Monthly Compensation. This is the rating schedule that somebody in that kind of a situation would be in if they were severely damaged in that convoy. So utilize the benefits that are there for us, play by the rules, but be honest, be upfront, and file for everything that you can file for. And, with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here because now I've already went to 11 minutes. So with that, hey, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong. Have a great one.